Welcome back to another episode of Ball Knowledge Podcast with your host, Isaac Margolis. Today, we are going to be joined by co-host Jonah Kleiman, who's a four-star punter in the class of 26, and the one, the only, Cray Paich, who is an offensive line commit for Cincinnati. I've known Cray since I was very little, and I am so excited for him and his opportunity to go to Cincinnati and play football. I have the utmost respect for him. I've looked up to him for a while, and I'm so happy that he could be on this podcast. Today, we're going to talk about his football beginnings and his mentality that it took to get to D1 and how he's adjusted so far in Cincinnati. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you, and enjoy this episode. Guys, take it away. Anything to say?
We're glad to have you on here, Cray.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely a pleasure. It's just nice talking to you guys too for a little bit. So yeah.
All right, I guess we could get started with what got you into football.
I feel like every kid, like you play flag football growing up. It's kind of like what everyone does. But I distinctly remember my eighth grade year, which is COVID. We had spring football, and I met Jackson Carcello when he was about, I'd say, a month and a half away from playing O-line at Northwestern. And he just sat, and that we never talked before. He just sat and talked to me for about an hour. And I mean, our parents exchanged numbers, and my mom's been in touch with them ever since. Just kind of like at first it was about football questions, and then just became a friendship. So I mean, truly, I've always kind of been into football, but Jackson really got me into like really buying into being an offensive lineman and playing college football.
Obviously, it helps being someone of your size. How big are you now?
Right now I'm sitting around like 6'5" and a half, 6'5" and a quarter, about 310.
It's a big yeah. So, I guess so. You obviously started in eighth grade, and then playing high school ball. Like most kids, a lot of kids I know that are playing tackle, they start at a young age. So, what was like the learning curve like? Just starting at such like a late time.
For me, I wouldn't say I started necessarily late because I feel like tackle is one of those things where it doesn't matter how good like or how long you play. It's one of those, and like just offensive line general, it doesn't matter how long you play. But if you have the right coaches, that's like a world of a difference. And because of my sophomore year, I had a small back injury, and I really didn't play over the summer that much and didn't have the opportunity to play in games during the season. Because I was also a little undersized. I was like 200 pounds when I was a sophomore.
Really small.
For an offensive lineman, yeah. But that was more part of the learning curve. So just Coach Purdy and my personal trainer, like my O-line trainer, Nate Quenda from O-line Mafia. Those two really kind of helped me. And so I think what I kind of learned in like those 2.5, 3 years, that much of a learning curve to more of just like wanting to go out there and play football was just kind of like the biggest thing, and having those good coaches to guide me.
Yeah, so what I then was the biggest. So you were just talking about the guy, your O-line coach. How did you come in touch with him? Like how come? What about football then got you so in love with the sport? Like that you got like a special trainer. Like what at what point did you decide like I think I could do this? I think I could go to college.
So it was after my sophomore year. Obviously, didn't play a lot of football. Didn't see anything. Didn't see any time on the field. Didn't play. And my mom was in my mom, one of her friends named Knevel Camp owns this local place called the Dugout, and they have a turf field in there. And my trainer, who was training at that location on Wednesdays and Saturdays, got in contact with my mom and saying, "Hey, I know your son's trying to play college football. I know your son is playing football right now and is playing online. Like this is like trainer. He is the best in my opinion, but he's like Kansas State's one of the best in the country, doing high schoolers. His sessions are not anything crazy expensive. They're like 2.5 hours. They're really good, and just I should try him out." And at first I was a little hesitant. I didn't really know what I was going into. I kind of felt like I was too young to start practicing like that. But I went anyway. My mom said, just do it twice, do it 1 or 2 times. And I went once. I fell in love with it.
So obviously you were the new kid on the block going into the training with him for the first time. What was like the biggest shock to you, like maybe that you didn't know about playing offensive line that he was like teaching you?
Um, I'd say for me is just like the super like super small things in your technique that make the biggest difference. For me, it was like my stance, just in general, like just some small tweaks to my stance made the world of a difference, and just kind of like expanding my knowledge in general, just kind of like with which ways to step for blocks and the difference between the outside zone step and inside zone step and a kick set and a B C set, like just those different like differences in football. I mean, that was kind of like the biggest thing where it was a lot more than I was really exposed to as a sophomore.
So what do you attribute to the mental side of it, right? So there's always going to be those days where you don't want to go into lifts, you don't want to go
Mm,
to practice, and you have to fight through that. Like I saw you on your team this year, days
yeah.
that you were sick and you'd still get there at 7:30 in the morning before everyone, get out there and go run on your own. And it was amazing to watch as a younger guy on the team, and really we really looked up to you in that like leadership and that like really strong mental state. So who do you attribute like that mental state to?
Um, I would definitely just say like, I mean, I mean, I'd say like five people. That's kind of crazy to say it's five people, but I'd say at least in high school, my two wrestling coaches, Brad Hogan and Scott Taylor, and then my football coaches, Nate and Purdy. I mean, just kind of like my wrestling coaches kind of forcing me to wrestle my hardest every single day, not letting me back down. And I was wrestling our D line coach Scott Taylor, which for anyone who don't know him, which you probably don't, he's about 6'2", 6'3", 320 pounds. Played football at NIU in Eastern Illinois, but had offers from like Tennessee and Cincinnati. So I mean, he's a legit guy.
Big fella.
Yeah, he's a really big guy, and it's just just having the mental toughness to go in every single day, knowing I was gonna get my ass kicked, but having to deal with it and just kind of like fight that. I mean, that was part of it, and just my coaches pushing me was another thing. But also my dad, truly, my dad. Like this year for Christmas, he got me like a symbolic gift, which is a lunch pail, and what like the long story short I'll give you guys is before my father, my entire generation, like in America, have been blue collar workers. So like my dad's grandfather on one side worked in a steel mill, and the other one was an electrician and built houses. My grandfather also worked at a steel mill a little bit, also built houses a little bit, kind of did a little bit of everything, just all blue collar work. And my dad did when he was in high school too. And so that lunch pail kind of represents my family working hard, giving me this opportunity. I think that really what's motivating me right now in college is just that like mindset of being a blue collar athlete, but also like just knowing that where I come from, it's all a blue collar mentality of get up every day and go work for your family. So
Yeah, and obviously it's staying focused on the mentality can be a very hard thing for people, and there's a lot of distractions in the way. So what did you do to like get to like push through those distractions?
um truly it's just if you want it or not. Like that's just the like bottom line, like just being disciplined enough and just wanting it or not. Because you'll find a lot of guys who win enough but aren't disciplined, but you'll find a lot of guys who are really disciplined but just don't really want it. And so you have to find like that really good middle ground of being able to work hard every single day and attacking it with passion, but also being disciplined to do that every single day. And I think that's kind of one of the hardest things that people like have to struggle with as like trying to play football. And I mean, I especially do as well. I'm nowhere near like to perfecting it or even getting good at it. But with help from like my parents, my coaches, I definitely have a have it steady enough to where I can go attack the weight room pretty consistently every single day.
Your recruiting process? Like how did that
Yeah.
start? Why did you choose Cincinnati?
So if you guys didn't know, my recruiting really blew up in February. My sophomore year I didn't play. Obviously didn't get any looks, but my junior year wasn't until like after the dead period, the quiet period, where I actually was getting like coaches' attentions. And it was actually that Thursday where I actually got two offers in the same day. It was Illinois State, Eastern Michigan. And after that, my recruiting just kind of blew up from there, and just it all happened like right in front of me. And it was just a really amazing experience. And eventually led to me getting into contact with some bigger schools and I mean, it led me here to Cincinnati.
So going back to the mental side really quick, connecting to this. So you said that you didn't get a single offer, at least a D1 offer until the end of this dead period. How was that for you, knowing that you've been training so hard and you've been working years and years and years to go play at the next level, and having like I assume you've had some of those days before you got those offers, you were like, was this all for nothing? Am I really gonna be able to go play at this next level? How was that? How was that for you?
I want to quickly
Um,
just add on really quickly, just a quick follow up afterwards that. So then what was the first, like getting that first offer? What was like, how was your mental state with that?
yeah. All right. So the first thing I'll say is, I wouldn't say I necessarily expected to get that offer. I mean, I was definitely in shock leading up to that, but I mean, truly, I put a lot of hard work in before that, and I want to say years. I think that's kind of like what I want to emphasize on is it was really only like about a year where I really, or like a year and a half, where I really put in a lot of genuine hard work. It was just my sophomore year, like beginning of sophomore year, probably to obviously like the end of the junior season. But I mean, my mentality was I had to play catch up. You know, I was really behind, didn't have a lot of experience compared to a lot of the other guys I was going against, and with after actually an Iowa camp where I was in a group of the like with the twos, so like the ones where all the D1 like coaches were looking at them, and then twos, which were a bunch of D3s and D2s and like JUCOs. And I remember I was definitely one of the biggest guys there, but I remember I seeing a bunch of guys with, like beards and arm sleeves and of tattoos, and it was just like some of these guys were definitely 18 or 19, and I was right. I talked to some of them, and they were 18 and 19, and it was just kind of weird to be seeing that. And so I really had to play catch up, and I think that was when I got my first offer. I was kind of like, okay, like I caught up for sure, but I didn't expect my recruiting to blow up like that. So I was kind of expecting like, you know, my senior year is going to be the year where I'm gonna have to work hard for some of those big offers. And then after I got my offer, I mean, it was surreal. I remember the first thing I did was is I called my parents. I called my dad first, actually. I called my dad and I said, listen, like, you know, I just got off the phone with the coach from Illinois State and they want to offer me a four-eyed. Like that was crazy. Like that was crazy in itself. And then I called my mom, obviously, and she was very emotional. And then I remember I texted all my friends, but I mean, it was definitely surreal. It's probably one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life, just knowing that, you know, like no matter what happens, like I have this opportunity to play D1 football and just play football at the next level.
Yeah, and go to a college which some people don't get to do for free. So
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
it must
And
be a big weight off the shoulders.
yeah, well, for me, it was either like go to the army and be like go to the army or go play football in college.
Yeah.
And so I got lucky and got to play football.
So my uh not a very long list of experiences, but I'm starting with that recruiting process and I've been going for a bit. And one of the things they really emphasize, at least in the specialist role, is how big the transfer portal is right now, and how much more difficult it is to get recruited out of high school as a specialist and as every other position, because you're going against guys who are 24, 25 years old, who have played in college for 6 years, have a family, and are fully grown and are fully developed adults, versus a kid who is 17, maybe not even 18 years old, and still has a lot of space to grow. And so obviously you've got this spot at Cincinnati, and huge congratulations to you. All the work paid off. But you still obviously have to have that transfer portal in the back of your mind somewhere, where in reality it's the harsh truth, but they could bring in another guy who's 23, 24, and there goes your spot, right?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on, I guess, the transfer portal in general, and your I guess how you're going to go about this season, knowing about like all like the new stuff coming into the league, coming into college football.
Yeah. I think the first thing I say about the transfer portal is originally I was really against it. I was kind of like, you know, this kind of stinks. This is a little unfair. Like one of my friends, who was at Cincinnati, sadly had to leave, and it made me really upset. But then when I got there, I kind of realized there's like a lot of good and a lot of bad to it. I think the best is like best example is like Indiana, where you have that head coach transfer, and a lot of those guys followed him. And I think that's a great thing because you know you don't have to restart the bond with the entire team. You already have a good chunk of the guys there who hopefully are gonna have your back and say, he's a good coach, knows what he's doing, but also it kind of allows you to spend more time with other guys. And at least at Cincinnati, they brought in a guard, and I mean, he's a phenomenal player. And I mean, I can't even get him upset because obviously I wouldn't be starting this year, but I mean, he's a great player, and I'm really happy he's on our team. And I mean, with that being said, I think the portal is kind of a good and bad thing. Where for recruits, it definitely sucks because you're always going to have some guy who's going to come in and take your spot, and especially at specialists. Like we just had a transfer come in as a kicker, and he's just turned 22, and like that's kind of crazy to think where he's 22 and I'm 17, and we're in the same spot right now in college.
Yeah.
And especially with that JUCO thing where you can play 5 years of JUCO football and have 4 more years of eligibility, and then NCAA D1, like that's crazy.
I think it's 2 years of JUCO.
2 years, okay? Because I thought I heard, yeah, so that makes more sense.
It doesn't count toward your NCAA eligibility.
Still, bro, you have 7 years of college football.
Yeah,
I mean that puts you 25 compared to me or you, which is like 17 or 16.
This is not including red shirts either.
Yeah.
Well, the 5 years with the red shirt, so yeah, but it's definitely a point to keep in the back of your head. So
yeah.
Then real quickly, as we were talking about playing guard in high school, you played tackle.
Yeah.
So can you talk about the switch to guard and like what your different responsibilities and like different techniques you need to learn are?
Yeah. So in general, the technique is all different, purely just because different coaches like different techniques. So I mean, Coach Purdy liked different things compared to my O-line coach, like my personal line coach compared to my college O-line coach. And so it's all different. But I'd say the biggest thing is, like I said, I mean, there's just so many more like different techniques you could use on a block. And I mean, like obviously I couldn't say a name and you guys would know them, but because the terms are all a little personal, but there's one where we call it a crowler, where you kind of have your arm and you like flipper with the block, and there's a Heisman where you stick your arm out and you get a punch at their shoulder. And I mean, there's just so many forward jumps. I mean, you have like so many different types of blocks compared to when it was high school. It's like, okay, outside zone, step wide, inside zone, get vertical, and like pass, just go set and get a one-on-one. Like it was very much of like a more simple kind of deal. But and I mean in college it's more of just like there's so many different types of situations that you'll be in that you require different technique. So that's another big thing. And another thing is, like I said earlier before we actually started recording, where it's just like at tackle, everything kind of feels a little more isolated, more personal. Everything's kind of like a one-on-one with that D end or that linebacker who's walked up or whoever you're blocking. But at guard, it's very like connected. You put like the center a lot, and sometimes even the tackle will help you out a little bit. And so it's very much at center or at guard, you're contributing with another person compared to when you're at tackle. It's a very almost individual type of spot, the type of position.
So originally out of high school, did you know, and were colleges specifically recruiting you to play guard, or were some schools at different spots?
So all my offers that I posted were for tackle.
Oh,
except for Cincinnati, which was at guard, and I knew it was gonna be at guard. But like some schools I was talking to, I did offer me at tackle or at guard as well, but that was after I committed and I was kind of set on going here. So I was open to like hear them, but I mean at the end of the day, I mean I knew I was going to play guard here.
So
yeah.
I think I asked this earlier, but I don't remember I don't think it got answered, but so what made you then decide to come to Cincinnati, even though you're going to have to change positions and stuff?
I mean, truly, there's a million reasons. And I know people say that and it sounds like they don't have anything to say, but I mean, I could list off, I think, probably 4 of the most important reasons right now. One, the people, not even just like the coaching staff, but the players here. I mean, these are some of the best men I've ever met in my life. These are truly going to be my lifelong friends, and I have no doubt about it. I mean, I have guys who are in the weight room with me every single day, pushing me to be the best version of myself, and I do the same with them. And I mean, that's just very unique. It's a very unique bond, especially after only being here for about 3 weeks. The next is the coaching. I think the coaches are great people, but they also have great methods. They know what they're doing. They know what they want to do. They know how to do it. They know how to coach, how to teach, how to motivate, all that stuff. That's a really important factor. Another thing is, I mean, the university cares about my education. That's super important to me. But they also care about football. So it's a great balance between I'm going to have a degree that's meaningful after college, where no matter what happens after the NFL, if I want to have a career, which I'm a finance major, if I want to have a career in business, I can. And for me, that was really important because I'm thinking beyond just like football and college. I'm thinking like for the rest of my life. And the fact that they're on the same page with me is that was very important. And I mean, the last thing is, I mean, I feel like this is a little obvious, but I mean, it's power for football. It's very competitive. It's very intense. It's big. It's flashy.
It's professional football at this point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it just,
There's so sorry to interrupt you, but from what
absolutely.
I've learned and from what I've learned throughout all of this, like going with recruiting and just college football in general, is that Division 1, like the Power Four conferences, unlike 15, 10, 5 years ago, there's no time to develop anymore. I mean, obviously you develop as you go through college, but if you are not ready right away, there's a good chance they're going to look you over, right?
Yeah.
Unless they see something really special. It's what from I've heard from multiple people, it's pretty much professional football. So
And with NIL, it changed. It literally is professional
yeah,
football.
people are making life out like set for life if they have one good year in college football. So
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
that's definitely put almost everyone in college at like is like a free agent every year. I mean, you just can get a new contract anywhere you want if you're
yeah,
good enough.
yeah, I just want to ask because you were just talking about how this is like your third week. You just came over from Cincinnati from high school. How do you go from that mentality of being at like a school where you like know everyone and it's not like obviously it's big, like 1,000-ish kids in your grade, but to go into Cincinnati, where it's a massive college, like how do you like mentally go through that? It's such a short period of time. Most people have like a summer to like prepare for college.
Yeah. I think for me, just definitely keeping an open mind, and just like definitely was very nervous at first, and it showed with a lot of older guys, but just keeping like an open mind and just taking opportunities where I could, just showing up to everything I can, whether it's optional or not, just hanging out with my roommates, talking to them, talking to other freshmen before I got here, just kind of trying to talk to everyone I could and just connect with them. And I mean, another thing that our school is really focusing on as a football team and a program is just connection within our team. And I mean, in my opinion, we've done a phenomenal job. I mean, I know like 80% of my team now by name. I can tell you 5 facts about them. I mean, they're great people. They're super kind. They're super cool. And I mean, like at first I was a little nervous. The first few days were really hard, but I mean, after that, it just kind of felt like, I want to say high school all over again, but I mean, like, I just feel really close to my team and my teammates and all my friends here. So it was definitely a very easy transition from what I was expecting.
so I'm curious, just as a junior in high school and looking at some college stuff, and I'm sure some other people are curious if they're watching. But as a Division 1 football player, it is a full-time commitment. It's a full-time job, right? How is the balance between football, school, social life? How does it play out? Is it what you expected, not what you expected?
Um, it's kind of what I expected, to be really honest. I mean, they kind of prepare you for it. Um, I mean, I have a lot of football over the course of the day, a lot of schoolwork, classes over the course of a day. But the weekends are really my time to unwind and relax. On Saturdays I'll go hang out with the O line or go hang out with some of the guys and just relax and just kind of hang out or do something like that. But then on Sunday I'll just kind of relax. And so I think like a majority of my social life is kind of revolving around football itself. But I'll just like text my friends and call my friends and I'll go walk around on Saturday like afternoon and go walk and get food and say hi to a few people and make a friend or two. But I mean, mostly it's like the weekends. That's my social life.
Then what is like a typical then like day in the life of you?
um, I'll like just do what I did for the first 2 weeks because they're like kind of evolving right now and changing. But I mean, wake up 5 a.m., 6 a.m. breakfast, 6:30 lift till about 8:15, 8:10. Then at 8:30, we have academic club, which is like a study table, but you're required to go. You have to do work for the whole hour and a half. They check in on your grades and what you're doing, and then make sure that all your assignments done. Then after on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I have class for about an hour from 10:10 to 11:10. After that, I probably will go get lunch in the facilities, and I'll probably go have a meeting or something like that at 12 or 12:30 or maybe 1. After we will do like stretching and recovery, and like I'll go like I'll go like ice bath, and I'll go in the steam room, and I'll get home around 2, maybe 3. Today I got home around 4 o'clock because I had tutoring, but I got home at 4 o'clock, showered, just chill in my bed, and I'll probably end up going to bed around 8:45 to 9 o'clock tonight to wake up and do the next same thing the next day.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah. But now we have runs and everything. So it's like I'll go from class to a run, and then I'll have stretching, and it's like mile end at like 4:30 or something like that. So I have a lot of stuff to do.
I did not picture a Cray patient running in the same sentence.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not really into running. I'm not really into running to be honest. But I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep.
So what's the like training like how are like you just said like how you have like multiple sessions of like lifting and stretching. So like how is that different from like GBN in a sense? Like what is like strength and conditioning wise? Like what's the biggest difference?
Yeah, so I'll be really honest. Like Jason Patel, our strength coach at GBN, he's phenomenal. Like truly has prepared me very well. I know a lot of the lifts. There's some things where it's like, okay, I don't know what this is, but pretty much everything I know what it is. I know what to do. I know I have at least an idea of what it is. And he really helped me with that. So I think GBN prepared me well for what I'd be doing in terms of like the lifts, but just the intensity and how you do it is very crazy. Like everything's tempoed, everything's like as intensity. They give you weights that make you struggle and strain, and it's just enough to really get the last rep on your last set, but enough to where you're gonna have to fight your ass off to get it. So it's like it's truly all very intentional and very focused. And because they have the resources, they can make it very intense and very focused and fit like 2.5 hours, 3 hours of a GBN lift into an hour and a half of a Cincy lift. So it's just a lot of works out, like a lot of working out, a lot of intensity in one lift. And also I think the biggest thing was we do these things called finishers, and every day they're different, but they follow a pattern. But we have things where we have like these like bikes with like the fans in them, and you have to see how fast you can go, and like how far you can go in 5 minutes with a team, or how many calories you can burn in 5 minutes, or how fast can you burn 40 calories, or what's your max wattage in 15 seconds. And then like after a full workout, after a full leg day, it gets pretty tiring. Or we'll have like this thing called a fourth quarter finisher, and it's just like push-ups and then abs and then push-ups and then abs. But like it's not like 15 push-ups. It's like you do a push-up and you have to hold it for a few seconds, and every single time you have to hold it longer and longer. And if you mess up, you have to restart. And it's just
Paich getting a six pack?
I'm not getting a six pack anytime soon, but I'm definitely getting bigger.
The goal.
All right. So I think we have time for one more question.
Perfect.
What are your Super Bowl predictions?
I know I'm a little torn. I definitely want the Eagles to win for sure. Like I think the Chiefs are a great team. I think they've definitely solidified themselves as like a dynasty, mini dynasty. But if they win this year, I think Patrick Mahomes gets way too close in the conversation of who's a better quarterback versus Tom Brady. And I don't want that happening. I like Tom Brady at number one. Okay, I hated him when he was playing, but I miss that he's gone. But I just don't want Patrick Mahomes to win the Super Bowl again. I think it's ridiculous. I'm not a Bills fan necessarily, but I am a Josh Allen fan. And seeing Josh Allen lose to the Chiefs every year has just pissed me off over and over again. I just want one year where the Chiefs just don't win it.
Yeah. So my mom's from Detroit, so I was heavy on the Lions, and watching that game was rough. But
Yeah.
I really want Saquon to get a ring, but
That would be cool.
I don't see a world where the Chiefs lose.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Next episode, we are going to have Hal Morris, who was the starting first baseman for the 1990 Cincinnati Reds World Series winning team. He had a 13-year career in the MLB, and he was also the director of pro scouting for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I cannot wait. I'm so excited to interview him. Thank you guys so much.